All right, Richie, how are you?
Great, nice to be chatting with you. I hope I've pronounced your surname right. Is it Branham?
Yes, it is. Without the U, though.
Oh, so it's Branham.
Yeah, Branom.
O-M, oh, lovely. Where does that come from? Because it sounds kind of Irish.
Well, it's my husband's name, and he claims to be a mutt, so I have no idea where it came
I
from.
love that. And meaning that if you look at his lineage or his ancestry, it's a bit of everybody.
Yes.
Hey, listen,
And
go on, go
I'm
on.
also in Washington State.
Oh, you're in the state of Washington, not California, but you're on Pacific time, is that right?
That's right.
Yeah, I get it confused, you see, because I talk to a lot of people in the US, and it's either Central, Mountain, Eastern, Pacific as it is. But I tell you what, it really is nice to be chatting with you. The website is absolutely brilliant. I don't know of anybody who doesn't get lost and excited about these great mysteries of our time, but also the attempt to debunk them and to provide reasonable and proper scientific explanations. Now, you've just written an article on there about ghosts and the phenomena of ghosts. Tammy, tell us more about that.
Yes, they graciously put that up for me today. It's an article that I've been working on for quite some time. That's why it took so long to actually get a new one up. But a lot of people think that ghosts are deceased relatives and friends. And as many people know, there's a lot of ghost shows on television now where
Sure is.
they're going around to haunted places and they get EVPs and apparitions, things of that nature. And what I try to see is that they're very unusual in the voice phenomenon and the apparitions that people get. They're not always what they're expecting. It's something different. Christians are claiming that they may be demons. I don't want to go there. I try to find something
Yeah,
scientific
yeah.
for it. So I look at it. Some people are saying that it could be a possible parallel universe. I like to look at it as dimensions that we can't see.
Tell us about
They
that then.
exist right here.
If it isn't a parallel universe, listen, I'm a bit like you. I'm a little bit skeptical. Me, it's probably because I'm a kind of an affirmed atheist. I've got to say that because I present a current affairs political program. I'm often talking about matters which have a kind of a religious context. So I've got to be honest,
Yes,
Tammy, and say that I'm an atheist.
I
You know.
agree. I'm an atheist as well.
And that, of course, doesn't affect your scientific, reasonable mind. You're very open-minded when you look into these things. So what do we mean by dimension as opposed to a parallel universe? I think we've lost her momentarily. She might be back now. Can you hear me, Tammy? No, we're going to reconnect there is what we're going to do. This has been a problem today. We're having one or two problems with the old connecting to our friends and guests.
Oops,
And, you know,
I think we got
we're
lost
back,
there for
we're
a
back,
second.
we're back. I like that. Yes, I was just making an apology because it's our system here. We're having a problem today, Tammy, but at least we're back. At least I thought we were. So I'll tell you what, while we reconnect, let's have a bit of Heaven 17. And while we're listening to that, you'll be praying we get her back on. Back in a minute.
I tried to understand that certain feeling carved by another's hand.
Right, I think we can now rejoin Tammy. Tammy, sorry about that. You're back.
Oh, that's okay. I was talking to no one there.
It's our problem on our end. I've had a problem with it earlier in the program, talking to somebody in the US, so don't worry about that. We'll soldier on. So as I was asking you, so if it's not about parallel universes then, if it's about dimensions, what do we mean by dimensions?
Well, dimensions, according to Einstein, we live in a world of three dimensions: up, down, side to side, and depth. Plus, we have a fourth dimension of time. And the way I see it, as I described it in the article that's on Unexplained Mysteries today, we're sort of like in these lower dimensions where something can peek in at us, and what we see is just a quick blip of something. We can hear it, we can see it, but we can't really interact with it. They can maybe interact with us because we're a part of their dimensions, but it doesn't work the other way around. We only get peaks. I kind of believe that's where UFOs and a lot of things come from. I don't believe we're being visited by aliens. I I think we're just, they're a part of our life. We just can't see into these other dimensions.
That's interesting. You talked as well about Harry Houdini and Houdini's debunking of spiritual mediums. Something I've got a big problem with, Tammy, people who claim to talk to the dead.
I honestly don't believe people. I'm not a big fan of psychics. I've had my own psychic experiences, so to speak, and I've spoke with people who actually, have had psychic experiences. And again, it's almost like you're peeking into another dimension, forward to see things. It just doesn't, it's not a switch that you turn on and say, okay, I'm going to tell you all this, and this person's standing here. I don't believe that. I agree with Houdini, but I also believe that when you die, when you pass, you don't exist anymore. You as you no longer exist. And what they are seeing with, to look at ghosts and speak to ghosts, what is happening there is an alternate timeline, so to speak, with, people, people like us. They may look like us, even sound like us, but they aren't us. A quick reference that has been used over and over is something in Back to the Future, where Doc Brown draws on the board, where here's the straight line, and then something changes, and you have an alternate timeline that exists. You can't come back from that timeline like they did in Back to the Future, but there is an existence there, a person like you existing there. It's not really you.
So that's kind of like a parallel universe then, Tammy?
It is
something
sort
like
of.
it, yeah.
Yes, and a lot of times parallel universe and alternate dimensions are used hand in hand, but they aren't exactly the same thing. Another universe, everything around us, when we look out into the night sky and all the planets, all the stars and galaxies and everything that we see, clear back to the Big Bang, that's our universe. So another universe is something else. It may have a whole different set of laws of physics, whereas another dimension is right there next to us. It's right beside us and may, in fact, have the same laws of physics with extensions of those laws that we don't understand.
There's a really interesting aspect to all of this, and that's that sometimes very strong sensation of deja vu that you get when you almost know what somebody's going to say next, Tammy. I've had some very strong instances of deja vu, not for a long time now, not as long as I can remember, but going back a few years, I can remember sometimes having really strong feelings of that. Where do you think that is that in some way related to what we've been talking about?
Yes, it is, because you can exist in these alternate realities. According to quantum mechanics, any possible scenario that can be perceived of can exist in an alternate timeline. So therefore, it could exist in a dimension we can't even see, or a dimension running next to ours, or even as a parallel universe that exists outside of our own. There are theories that when our universe was created, that in order for nature to be balanced, an equal yet opposite universe was created as a negative to our
own one. You know what I think about, because you were talking there about not believing that there's anything after death. Now, one of the things I propose, and I don't have any evidence to back this up, of course, it's just a theory, because I am an atheist and I don't believe in, a benevolent creator who's going to whisk me off to heaven or cast me into the fires of hell when I die. I don't believe that. But what I do theorize is, and I have no evidence, as I said, to back it up, is that infinite consciousness, that whatever it is inside of me, that keeps me standing and walking around and talking and thinking, zips off into another embryo or another fetus or another life form. It's a bit silly, really. Maybe a bit scientific, maybe a bit sci-fi. But that's what I think, Tammy.
Well, actually, everything on the planet, including ourselves, is energy or has the potential to store energy. So you have to figure your energy is going to disperse somewhere.
Yeah.
So if it disperses out into the world, then part of that energy would also be part of your consciousness. And again, pieces of you would disperse out. So you wouldn't know, you wouldn't realize you were you.
No.
But maybe a piece of you would end up back in someone else.
Which might explain people regressing in hypnotherapy and thinking that they had past lives. Might explain that. I don't know. Or is that just more nonsense?
Well, that could because they don't get a full picture of someone. In fact, one of the arguments about reincarnation is like, okay, why can't we figure out what someone did way back when so that we can replicate it? Well, you can't because there's only a little piece of them floating around. And who's to say who's going to get that little piece, if anyone?
Yeah.
Memories are part of everything, kind of like we have radio waves in the sky. Everything flows, and you may catch a piece of that memory, you may not.
Got to ask you this, because I enjoyed reading the articles today. I didn't read everything because it's a huge site with amazing, and really is, it's unexplained-mysteries.com. It's terrific stuff. Tammy, if you've done this already, forgive me for asking you to do it, but do look into, at some stage, this idea that when somebody dies, passes away, that their body loses a certain amount of weight, that they become fractionally lighter. And people have often thought that's because either the soul or the energy is leaving the body. I don't know if you've come across that before. Might be worth looking into, though.
I have read that. It's rather inconclusive. They have done further research on it. But yes, I have read where they have weighed. They're kind of older studies that they did, where they actually found that when a person died, they actually weighed a little less. But you also have to consider that when a person dies, their lungs empty out, so you're going to have that weight that is gone, plus anything else that happened.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
That's going to be gone. So there's other explanations for that weight. Now, if those things are excluded already, then you have to wonder, does that energy weigh something? And energy does equal mass. So it's very possible.
I'm getting questions coming in for you. I knew I would. Our listeners like to email us in when we do sections like this, Tammy. One of the questions I've had, and this is from Nicola, and Nicola's in Nueva Andalucia, which is not too far away from Marbella. And Nicola is asking this: do Ouija boards? We'll have to talk about Ouija boards sometime. What about Ouija boards? Ouija boards, do they work? She asks. Is there any, truth to them, or is it because subconsciously we're doing something with our fingers or our hands to move that thing around? What do you reckon, Tammy?
I believe that. I've had some strange occurrences with Ouija boards, but I do believe that they are extensions of your subconscious. The human brain is so unusual and not been studied enough. I mean, we can create an entire entity out of our brain. Teenagers who are troubled just with growing pains can create poltergeists. So who's to say you aren't creating something with that board? So is it real? It's as real as you want it to be.
As you want it to be. Do you think, Tammy, that we might have the potential? Because it's a medical fact is that we're only using about something like 15 or 18% of our brain's capacity, and the rest of it lies dormant. So could it be possible? I suppose everything is possible, so it's going to sound like a stupid question, is that we could muster enough of an idea, of enough of a thought, strong enough, if we could teach our brains how to do it, so that could manifest itself in a physical way, to just go along with what you're saying, that we can move an object. Telekinesis, that might be something that if we really understood how to use the capacity of our brains, that we might be able to do. What do you make of that?
Yes, I believe that absolutely, that everything, and again, that goes along with quantum mechanics.
Yeah.
If you can perceive of it, it can happen.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. I can't argue with that. I mean, some of these things we've seen in films before. And you know what? Speaking of films, isn't it really incredible how many films are being made at the moment about poltergeists, about ghosts and all of that? Have you ever known such an interest in that area, the paranormal?
Well, it's really hot now, just like you said, and I believe that's because the big movie houses are seeing what a phenomena that the ghost programs on television are actually turning out to be. One of the ones I've followed since its inception is Ghost Hunters.
Yeah, yeah.
And they've been on for 8 seasons now, which is absolutely just crazy. And so a lot of people want to believe that there's something else. They want to believe that they can talk to their loved ones. They want to know that they're going somewhere else after life. It goes along with the question that humans have always asked: Is
there a God, and why are we? And why are we here? And why are we here? Right. Of course, yeah. Tammy, I've got to ask you this: if you could unlock the key to any of the great mysteries of our time, of our civilization, if you could be given the answer to one question yourself, what would it be? What's the one bit of information you'd love to have?
I'd like to see the beginning of our universe, where the beginning came from.
That's a pretty brilliant answer, isn't it? Yeah, how did we come to be here?
Yes. Where did our universe come from? How did it come to being? Seeing beyond the Big Bang. I think that's very interesting.
I'll tell you what
made it all.
And you know what? For me, it would have been something silly, like a historical event or something like that. You know, the answer to JFK or the answer to something like that. But when you say it, Tammy, yeah, it's got to be this Big Bang theory. And of course, scientists are working very hard to try and recreate that on a smaller scale, aren't they? With the Hadron Collider, yes, to see where all that came from. Listen, it was lovely to chat with you. I'd love to have you back on again, if that's okay with you. Get you back on again in the not-too-distant future to chat with us about these things again.
Oh, that'd be great by me. I'd really love it. You've got my email. Give me a shout. You can keep up with my writing through my blog at tammy.branom@blogspot.com, or you can go to my website at tammyabranom.com and keep track of my writing. I also do speculative fiction writing, being published all the time, so online and in print. So Static Movement has a bunch of my stuff. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
And when you Google Tammy, and Tammy's surname, by the way, is spelled with an O, so it's Branom. And when you Google Tammy, it comes up. You'll be able to find the blogs and all of that. And I'll, if not later on tomorrow, I'll put on my own Facebook page. We'll get a link to your blog and to Unexplained Mysteries as well. Tammy, thanks for coming on the program from Washington State. Really nice to talk with you. The articles on Unexplained Mysteries are brilliant articles, very well written and very interesting. And it'll be nice to catch up with you again in the future. Have a brilliant rest of your day there.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tammy.
You too, and thank you for having me.
Not at all. Tammy Branom there on the line to us from Washington State. Fascinating stuff, that. We'll take a very quick break, and when we come back, we'll have lots more to talk about here on iTalk FM.
Call iTalk FM.